Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Team Down TV's coverage of the Cyber Game at League of Legends Pro Leagues. My name is Mitch Leslie. I'm here with Jordan Elfish Guy Mays in the co-caster seat. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good, and it actually been a little bit of a while since we've casted together, so I'm really looking forward to this. And we have had a little bit of a wait before this game came up, but now we are finally into Champion Select, and we are ready to go.
We are indeed now on the other side of the Supernova event. Massive one for Riot and Australian Esports, or Oceanic Esports, respectively, should I say. These teams now coming off the back of that one. It's AVANT GARDE Ascension going up against Team Immunity with a couple substitutes in here as well. Impaired is going to come in for AVANT GARDE Ascension. Intrepid, though, in the top lane for Immunity. Picks and bans already well underway. Elfish Guy, what have you got for us?
Yeah, well, some very surprising bans coming out here. Well, not necessarily surprising, but interesting bans. Rumble there, we can see on the side of AVANT GARDE, which is not something you would have expected to see, especially considering the strength of junglers on this patch with the Feral Flare. I would have expected to see a couple more jungler bans coming out.
Yeah, so maybe Mindfreak don't want to ban them out of anything potential. We know Carbon has quite an extensive array of champions who can play. To be honest, Intrepid, they might be looking over at him and be concerned about that Rumble. But LeBlanc, Evelyn, pretty standard bans going away. Yasuo's these Kazakhs, the same from Immunity now. Waiting for our first few picks to come through, and yeah, obviously a few more items now into the pool, and Feral Flare being one of them, really impacting the role of the jungler, really actually giving them a bit more strength from actually farming those extra minions there. So how does it now affect how active those junglers are, sort of in the early stages of the game?
It really depends on which kind of route the jungler decides they want to take, because in solo queue you do see a lot of junglers like Master Yi and that sort of thing. They kind of just farm the jungle and then get really strong into the late game and pretty much carry from that. But I don't feel like that's going to work in a competitive scene where the teams are really going to be able to shut down that early weakness in the jungle and really take advantage of the lack of a gank on their opposing side and just snowball out of that.
Well, it's characteristic as well of tournament draft that sometimes your lanes just are not going to survive unless there's some serious jungler attention, and it's almost like a bait, like a noob trap, the Baron Pit as well, I guess, for a jungler to spend extra time in his jungle instead of really being active around the map. But I really don't feel either of these teams are going to be succumbing to any of that sort of pressure now. So, of course, you guys know these lineups well by now. Impaired, obviously, the sub for AVANT GARDE, Carbon, the jungler, Choo-Choo's mid laner, Kandra, 80 carry, Erect Gymnast is on support. Now, we're waiting for the second lot of picks coming out from Mindfreak. Already seeing the Nidalee picked up for Choo-Choo's, one of his trademark champions, and the fact that she got through the bans phase is good for Mindfreak. Oh god, I said that. For AVANT GARDE, that's what happens when you've got all the names in there, of course, but we know Choo-Choo was loving up the Ziggs as well, so not being able to play Ziggs, but he'll be happy enough on Nidalee.
Yeah, two bans actually going out towards Choo-Choo's. That Yasuo as well, taken away from him. You would expect that would be going into mid lane if it did get through. But yeah, he has got that Nidalee, which is a very strong champion of his. And Team Immunity have also locked in the Sivir and Pantheon, which is a fairly decent counter to Nidalee, because, you know, if you see a Nidalee spear coming at you and you're Sivir, you just pop that spell shield on and you're right. So maybe a little bit of a counter pick there coming out for Team Immunity, but it could also be some sort of a pickup for their later game team fights with that Sivir ultimate coming out.
I'm not surprised at all to see Shyvana picked up. We can see Impaired's match history, actually. He's got a couple Shyvana games under his belt. A jungle main, by the way, for those that aren't aware. Loves a bit of Lee Sin action. We've seen plenty of that out of Impaired. And I think we know Intrepid. Intrepid's kind of been around a lot. We know he's very active sort of in amongst NV and even before that as well. So, should be a fairly familiar face for most of you guys here. Wow. Twisted Fate, though. Locked in for Swiffer.
Yeah, very interesting, and maybe he's going to be trying to counteract the global pressure that Nidalee does bring, because she is one of the faster moving mid laners. She can get down and up to the lanes pretty quickly with her Cougar form. So, you know, Twisted Fate's going to be right behind her, or really probably in front of her with his ultimate. So that may be the choice there coming out from him, or the reason
Possibly.
why he chose that.
I mean, yeah, Nidalee is mobile to be sure, but I actually think it's probably more to combine with the global potential. I mean, reduced now in the recent times of the Pantheon being picked up there for Spooks. Spooks has a uncanny ability to really be where he has to be at just the right time. His counter ganking is superb. So I'd be interested to see now how Swift is going to combine, obviously, with Pantheon. Potentially a Trundle pickup here. We do see the Vayne being taken away there for Kandra, and probably not a pick we've seen heaps from him, especially on streams and the bigger games in recent times. We know Kandra does enjoy a bit of Sivir, a bit of Lucian. play. But interesting to see that Vayne now being picked up, and it might be that Jan and Vayne combination.
I actually have seen, I believe, Erect and Kardred have been playing Jan and Vayne a fair bit. Well, not a fair bit, but they have been playing it occasionally in the solo queue. So something to think about. Maybe they've found out something that maybe no one else has sort of figured out. Maybe it's a really strong lane. Traditionally, it's been one of the weaker lanes, especially considering they're going up against a Sivir who's got quite a lot of a range advantage over the Vayne. But maybe they've just, got some sort of synergy going on there.
Well, either way, it's going to be Morgana instead for Erect Gymnast, and that's the champion I'm a lot more used to seeing him on. Bit of a hover over the Zillion there for Rosie. I think that's more of his sense of humour coming through more than anything else. We don't really expect that to be a super aggressive bot lane for Immunity. We know that Sivir can struggle a little bit in her early laning phase, especially against your more proactive and aggressive AD carries. I'm sure Intrepid's just hoping to get into his solid his solid mid and late game phase on that champion there, and just try and play that lane as well as possible. That being said, you can't really go past a Leona when she gets through to be picked up there. So many options here for Rosie. Have to see what he settles on though.
Well, he did take the Zillion in the Supernova qualifier, in the Supernova finals, I believe it was, against NV, picking up the Zillion, I think it was twice actually, and they won both the games.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably more a testament to Immunity's ability to just make anything work, I think. But, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of viability if we're talking about a Zillion support. However, it's going to be Annie locked away for Rosie there, so it's going to be that Sivir and Annie bottom lane combination going up against the Vayne and Morgana. An interesting combination. Safe to say, those champions, in terms of the AD carries, they don't exactly have spectacular early games, and obviously we can see the Black Shield coming into effect and maybe try and ward off some of the stunning potential there that Rosie's going to be flaunting as he comes forward and tries to really take the fight straight to Avant Garde's bot lane. We'll have to see how that one works out. I'm interested to see the mid lane here as well. I mean, Twisted Fate's been a long time since I've seen him really being played in all seriousness. Guys, this is a best of two. Well, it's not really best of two. It's a 2-game series we're going to see tonight. So essentially, these teams can come out 1-1. After this one, it is just so that both teams have a chance to play on each side of the map without sort of dragging us through to like an extended best of 3 scenario, and has all those balance concerns, I suppose. So that's what it's going to look like. That's pretty much how the ladder is working so far. Avant Garde and Immunity both have 1 win apiece. I think Immunity beat Team Storm. Avant Garde also got their win earlier on as well, I think against Sif Gaming. So 1 apiece for these guys, and just Soul Shaffer, the only other team in their division at the moment to have that 1 win under their belt. Obviously, this is the Cyber Gamer Pro League that we are casting. Team Down TV always pumped to be in the thick of League of Legends action, and I'm pretty sure tonight is not going to disappoint. Going to be that Renekton Trundle matchup in the top lane. Trundle having opted to take that teleport instead of Ignite. What's that looking like at the outset here, Elfish?
Well, you really expect a Trundle to be maybe a little bit weaker than Renekton in lane until he hits level 6 because of that ultimate. Once Trundle picks up the level 6, the ultimate's really going to help him against Renekton, because Renekton does tend to like to build tanky, so he can steal those tanky stats. It's just going to be kind of a interesting matchup depending on which way Renekton decides to build. If he does decide to go for the damage build, taking the Ravenous Hydra maybe, for example, instead of taking Sunfire Cape or something like that, that will kind of impact Trundle's tankiness coming into these team fights, because Trundle really does want to look for that tanky champion to use his ultimate on, and then get into the back lines and use that tankiness from his enemy champion to be able to survive in the fights.
Alright guys, so you can be part of the conversation as well. It's up on Twitter, at UberShouts is myself, and at ElfishGuy11 is of course Jordan. We're keen to hear your thoughts on this one as well. Predictions, let us know as well in the chat. Thank you for participating, guys. It's always a pleasure to be here. Now look, I mean, you touched on Renekton's item build here. Now you can go 2 very distinct ways with the Group B Crocodiling. You can pick up that Ravenous Hydra and really just try and shut down your lane opponent, use Renekton's supremacy in the early levels. Or, as we can have just as often seen, a Renekton that is going to go that Sunfire Cape first build and sort of not try to really crush in his lane. But the question is, if Intrepid, while he might be giving himself a better late game potential, is that going to set himself up to get crushed by Impaired? What does Intrepid essentially want to build here at the outset?
I feel like Intrepid wants to really go for that damage build, take a Ravenous Hydra, because if he's taking the tanky build, he's really giving free stats to Trundle. If he does go for the tanky build, then that's going to be an obvious ultimate choice there for Trundle. But if he doesn't, Trundle's going to have to decide really who he wants to ulti, because if you think a Renekton without the tanky build is not as tanky as you would like, and Pantheon doesn't typically get too tanky either. So you could completely counter that Trundle pickup by not building tanky at all. But having said that, you're going to leave yourself open to a Vayne, which is going to be quite devastating if you're not taking any sort of Sunfire or Randuin's items.
And to be fair, like, late game, Vayne's going to make you suffer anyway. But, you know, it's interesting, you know, obviously a decision for Intrepid to be making here, because, I mean, there's a lot of damage over on the side of AVANT GARDE. It's pretty scary, you know, especially like with Shyvana really starting to mix things up as she jumps into that fight. We know that Choo Choo's is going to be doing damage. Of course, you know, the Vayne combining in with the Trundle. Trundle's just going to be moving everyone which way and this way and that. So, look, there's a fair bit of, you know, damage on AVANT GARDE, and maybe, you know, Intrepid may have to sacrifice his role as that frontline tank to try and get the upper hand on Trundle specifically. But I guess the real question remains is, how does that impact the rest of his team? You know, does he just want to be the punching bag, get that tank, and of course, you know, give Trundle a greater ability to get more value out of the subjugate, but you know, still be able to be tanky. So that really is the question. I mean, we know that Twisted Fate's not going to be able to take hits, you know, for extended periods of time. So I feel like it's got to be a tanky build. I think Intrepid, essentially in a 1v1 mindset, doesn't want to go there. I don't really know how much choice he has, Elfish.
Yeah, and another thing we should touch on is that both the AD carries have taken heal, which has kind of been a new pickup for pretty much everyone recently. Since the last patch, they did do a little bit of a buff to the heal. So what it does now is it heals, and it also removes the ignite, removes the healing debuff on ignite or whatever other item you decide to go for, and it also gives you a slight movement speed buff. I believe it's 30%. For 2 seconds, so it's really quite good for kiting when you're being, you know, chased by a tank such as Trundle, Renekton, whatever you know, Pantheon, anything like that. So both of these guys have taken it in favor of Barrier, which was really the one that we saw previously. So a new kind of meta coming to the bot lane.
It's funny you should say that, because we remember back in sort of Season 2 that Ignite was the thing. It was the thing for AD carriers, and it has changed a lot since then. I mean, I think the heal is great. The way it works is it packs a punch for a spell, it's safe to say. And, you know, we saw mid laners picking up Barry. Choo Choo's, for example, has that Barry now. We were seeing it done on Akali initially. A lot of guys really wanting to dive those towers now. A real shift. But, I mean, in terms of bang for buck, you can't really go wrong with that heal right now. Very, very potent. Anyway, in terms of movements over the map, we can see Immunity heading, well, it's pretty much a mirrored movement on either side of the map, really. Immunity heading down towards the red side of AVANT GARDE, and a mirrored movement from AVANT GARDE. So they're not going to run past each other anytime soon, Elfish.
Yeah, neither team seems to know where the other team is. No one decided to ward their own buff. Obviously, no one's picked up any wards at level 1 either. They're just relying on those trinkets, which do come out now at 2 minutes, which was another recent, not semi-recent change by Riot. So neither of these teams is going to know where the other one is. They're just going to know where they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's forcing teams into more of a crossroads in terms of their build selection coming out of the fountain the first time. You want a ward, you've got to feel the pinch in terms of paying for it. Now, you can't, you know, the trinket's not going to be available to you sort of until that 2-minute mark. Now, look at Immunity, though, pushing quite deep here, almost towards the Wraith Pit, and still haven't spotted any of AVANT GARDE. AVANT GARDE still clustered up towards the top side of the map. It looked like they were waiting for someone to come out of that top tribal bush while staying outside of vision here. It does look like we're going to see some recall here as well. So both teams, or at least Immunity at this stage, going to send one back home, and that is Intrepid. He's going to head to the top lane. So if Mind Freak persist, and if they hang around, they might be able to catch on to the Crocodile, but I think that it's quite an investment they're making here in terms of position and the time they're spending.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a red buff trade for these teams. So, you know, both teams going to be, you know, pretty normal with that. They're not going to be too disappointed, not going to be really happy. Both teams just going to pick up the red buff and walk out of there. All right, no first bloods coming out from that invade. So nothing too exciting just yet.
Yeah, well, we're going to see, obviously, at level 3, the jungle, at 3 minutes, so the jungle is going to be on opposite sides of the map. And we have seen a lane swap as well. If you do look towards the top lane, you can see the Kandrid and Erectiums have gone top up against Intrepid, really trying to give Kandrid that safe laning phase. I guess they were concerned about having to deal with Annie.
And this is interesting as well. Looking at Impaired and Carbon in the jungle, looks like Impaired is actually helping Carbon take down the jungle. He took the Wraiths as well as the red buff with Carbon, and it looks like he's going to help him with the blue buff as well. And he's still going to get down to the bot lane in time for that creep wave because he's got the teleport. He knows that Immunity's not going to be trying to push. They want to sit there and freeze the lane. So he's not losing any EXP really right now because he's not going to be getting any EXP because they're going to be zoning him so hard. So he's not even bothering. He's staying in the jungle, getting the jungle EXP as well, and helping Carbon get through the jungle without losing too much health.
Exactly right. So we do see the teleport coming out now, so well spotted. And clever play from Impaired there to pick himself up a little bit of experience to start with. And we'll have to check in with him later on to see how he is doing. He is going to have to deal with Rosie and Radio, of course. Just not combination I could ever think of any player ever wanting to go up against on their own ever, but that's okay. Choo Choo's now getting forced back the yellow card above the head of Swiffer now as he just tries to put a bit of pressure down. We can see already Spooks making the rotation. Impaired is still level 1. This is not going to end well. Oh, he's going to cop a heck of a lot of damage. He's going to drop like he was hot.
Yeah, and First Blood coming out there for Immunity, so maybe we should go back there for a replay. Just heading back 15 seconds, we can see Spooks coming in here from behind. They know Impaired is not going to really be able to get out of here at all, even if he flashes. And they pick up an easy easy First Blood there. No worries there, and it looks like they're going to be heading onto the tower.
That's exactly right. So we do see Avant take that top tower in response to the rotation. As I said, jungle's going to be at opposite ends of the map, and that's how it's manifested in that tower trade. Unfortunately, Mindfreak not able to get a kill in the process, so Impaired a little bit less prudent about his position than Intrepid was. The Intrepid just pulling right on back. So a lot of pressure going towards the substitute players for both teams at this stage. Can't be easy now. Swiffer going to get the stun down. The spear going to go missing in the bot lane. Again, Impaired is just going to get hammered. Spooks just hanging in that bot lane. Tower shots towards Spooks, but it's not going to be enough to kill him. Impaired so very, very low. He's going to be able to pull out of there as well, but I don't know. Teams are pushing these turrets very, very hard. It's almost like we used to see at the start of the lane swap, just that race to take down towers.
Yeah, actually, AV have taken down 2 towers now. Immunity haven't done too much damage to that second tier tower. It's only just now hitting half. And they're a little bit behind in the tower race, but they do have that 1 kill, so they are even on gold.
Yeah, I mean, being ahead in towers is an advantage that's going to manifest probably later on in the game. So right now, Mindfreak has got to keep their... Oh, I keep doing that. It's their names. I can't deal with this right now. AVANT GARDE have to deal, they have to understand that they are ahead in that. It's a long-term investment having taken those towers down now. So they just keep pushing and just keep trying to make the difference here now. As they look at the pressure in that top lane now. Intrepid going down to half health. Gymnast and Commentators want that tower bad.
Yeah, however, having said that, AVANT GARDE have picked up towers in the top lane. Immunity have picked up towers in the bot lane. So Immunity going to have a little bit more map control on the bottom side of the map, which is where the dragon is, obviously. So they're going to have that little bit of a return on investment a little bit earlier than AVANT GARDE are going to have it. And by that time, you would expect, like, the time that Baron is going to be coming around, the towers aren't going to matter too much.
No, you're dead right. It's actually a really good point you've made there. And, Immunity want that dragon control. They can get themselves, keep themselves getting ahead, I guess, in terms of the money. Look at this. Choo Choo's are actually getting crushed by Swiffer in the mid lane at the moment. It's not a huge CS difference, but Choo Choo's being forced way, way, way back. And look, this is honestly 2 of Australia's very best mid laners, if not the 2 best ones. And Swiffer is making Choo Choo's look like he's just come out of his placement matches here. Barrier being forced from Choo Choo's now. Trying to get on the tower. Ignite is ticking down. Probably won't be enough to take him. The flash force from Swiffer now. Carbon comes into the fray. Good gold card out towards him now. Wildcard to follow up. Spooks walks into lane as well. He's going to force Carbon out.
Yeah, and Choo Choo's on Nidalee always going to have a little bit of difficulty before 6. Nidalee, not probably the strongest laner. If you do hit spears, then yeah, you're going to be fine. But it's quite difficult to hit spears against challenger tier players, especially the likes of Swiffer, who knows what they're doing. And now that they've hit 6, really, it's going to be the time for Choo Choo's going to be able to maybe trade a little bit harder with Swiffer if he does miss a gold card or something like that. That's going to be an opportunity for Choo Choo's to jump in there and do a little bit of damage.
Interesting what Avant are doing here now. They pushed Impaired into the bot lane along with Cardred and Gymnast just to try and take that tower down. Spooks there repelling their advance, and Impaired now caught out. He might have to head back to top now. Pillar of Field comes up. And
yeah, he does have teleport up, so he's going to just use that getting up there now.
Strange positioning though, 4 in the bot lane. Well, it was 4, now 3 for AVANT GARDE early on. Of course, Impaired able to move around the map a little bit better. Doesn't really care about not having Ignite because he doesn't look like he really wants to deal with Intrepid at this stage.
Yeah, and he's not actually losing out on any CS really at all. He's 21 to 22, even though he hasn't been in lane nearly as long as Intrepid has.
Oh, gorgeous. Dark Binding goes on towards Spooks. Black Shield to Carbon as well. Spooks, you have to flash out of that one. Carbon wants this one badly, though, as well. Will he be able to pick this one up? No, Carbon gets taken down. Spooks turns around with a Heartseeker Strike. Great spell shield to get rid of the Choo-Choo spear coming straight through what looked like would be all about Mind Freak in that fight. So, all about AVANT GARDE in that fight. Got completely turned around. Very nicely done for Immunity.
Yeah, Carbon going just a little bit too aggressive there, burning his flash, trying to get that kill as well. So definitely not a good situation for him. And that's the kind of mistake that you can't make against Immunity. We know Immunity are pretty much the best team in Oceania. No one can really dispute that at this point. So you really need to be playing perfectly if you're even going to challenge them.
That's right, and AVANT GARDE are making some pretty ambitious rotations and some interesting ways of setting themselves up, the way they're combining their lanes, but when it comes down to it, they're behind, you know, that 600 gold, which isn't anything to write home about at the moment, but it's all well and good to do some fancy footwork across the rift, but if you're not focusing basic objectives, getting kills, getting farm, you're going to fall behind later on no matter what.
Yeah, and we're sort of hanging around now that time where teams start looking for a dragon pickup. 8.5 minutes gone, and Immunity, you would say, have got a little bit more control of this game than AVANT GARDE do. They do have that 2-kill advantage. They've got a little bit of gold advantage, as you said before. So they're going to be looking for that dragon fight where they can really snowball the game, because that's where Immunity seems to really pick up a lot of their team fight wins. The first dragon fight really is where they win a lot of their fights, and then the game's just ended from there. It's pretty much over if they win that fight.
It's really hard to wrest an advantage out of the hands of Team Immunity right now, so I'm sure they're looking for an opportunity here on the bottom side of the map, but so far, Radier and Rosier look fairly content to just try and farm it up. We can see just at the top of your screen there, Carbon and Gymnast trying to work on those golems now. We do see a rotation down from Spooks as well, maybe to try and open up some form of opportunity. Carbon is a long way from being able to assist in this bottom lane now, so Gymnast and Carter have to be extra careful here. They want a tower, they want to shove the lane in, give themselves enough time at least to head over towards old mate Dazza. You can see now just pushing the wave in. Look at the aggression. Look, we can see Immunity really want to get this one in under the tower. Ping's happening towards the red side of Immunity there, and that was just Carbon making his presence known there. Going to be a quick tower take, potentially a bit of a shove here. AVANT GARDE don't want to give themselves over to this.
Yeah, so Immunity have now evened up the towers, 2 towers each, and they'll be heading over towards the dragon now, I expect. Looks like that's the direction they're headed. Obviously, AVANT GARDE do have that ward on the dragon, though, so they will know if it does start there from Immunity. Yeah,
they'll know, and Carbon sort of headed back towards his base, but really, they're in force right now. I mean, they are
ahead.
It's a
4v5 as well.
Exactly. We do know that Impaired doesn't quite have his teleport up. He will in a sec, but I don't know if there's a safe entry point here for him to really get into that lane here, so it's going to be fairly straightforward. Dragon going over Choo-Choo's. Got me a fair bit of damage there, getting a bit of a heal off, but Immunity really unchallenged on the Dragon.
Yeah, and this is that map control we were talking about just before. Immunity have that bot side map control, and they just picked up a free dragon off it. Oh, Choo-Choo's is going to be in a bit of trouble here.
Grand Skyfall, Flash Tippers both missing. No opportunity there at all for Immunity to take the head of Choo-Choo's, but that is a lot of people in that mid lane now. That is 5. They want this tower. They're playing some serious objective control. Carbon off from the side, does have ultimate available. Dragon's Ascent comes in, hits no one in particular. Carbon now caught up against a Black Shield to get rid of a bit of that CC. Now Impaired, trying to fight this on his own. Mind Freaks really want to push this now. Rosie very, very low. Exhaust going down towards Carbon. Wildcard! Oh dear, the Boomerang Blade comes through from Radier. Is going to pick up Carbon now. Radier going super low. Great speed there as well. Intrepid though, Dominus activated. Impaired now, getting out of that one. No! Erectus goes down the tower, but Spear! It finds its home inside Swiffer's chest now, and that was a 2-for-2 fight. Radier just getting out with a bit of health. Bit of an inconclusive one, especially with Immunity going so aggressive there, but they did burn 2 key ultimates. Mind Freak did want to follow that up.
Yeah, and Choo-Choo's hitting some very, very good spears in that fight, and I think that really was what kept them alive in that fight. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the damage to really take anyone out. It looked like Immunity really had quite a lot of good communication coming out there. You saw immediately, whenever a stun came out, you would see the Sivir Boomerang Blade coming out across, as well as the wildcards coming out from Twisted Fate, doing a lot of damage from quite a long range, and they were staying fairly safe as well from that range and doing quite a lot of damage. And I think that's really showing how good Immunity communicates in the team fights.
Oh, the mid lane, this is going to get ugly. Choo-Choo's now trying to pull out. We do see Destiny is activated. Swiffer had the vision there. Choo-Choo's going to be able to jump away, though, just. So a bit spent on that one as well. We did see the Twisted Fate ultimate, and Spook sort of gravitating towards that mid lane there. Mind Freak picked a good fight earlier on. They knew some key ultimates were down from Immunity, but they've still got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, but they do have that Vayne on their side. So really, the longer this game goes, the better it turns out for AVANT GARDE, because the late game pressure that Vayne does bring, pretty much she can just destroy anyone. You know, with the exception maybe of Tristana, who obviously isn't in this game.
No, you're dead right, and of course Cardred's going to be looking to really try and get some money into his coffers at the moment. It's 80 to 100 in terms of the CS race for those 280 carries, and Radio looking pretty good, going to be coasting through to a pretty nice mid-game, and we expect to see him really start to make things happen there. Of course, a kill going over in that ruckus to Impaired, and of course also to Choo Choo's there, so important to give the cat lady a little bit of gold as well, with blue buff on Choo Choo. So if Mind Freak do decide to push forward or even engage in some prolonged poking, then the advantage is going to be over towards AVANT GARDE in that situation. We can see Immunity making movements towards the top side of the map here. You see Cardred trying to have a bit of farm, a bit of time on his own sim now. And basically, teams just rotating around one another. Radier kind of out of the action, though. He's just coming through mid.
Oh, Cardred going aggressive. Maybe not a good idea.
No, Dragon's Descent missing yet again. Swiffer goes super low. Should be enough damage here to do it. Grand Skyfall's going to come straight through the back line, and Intrepid gets in there as well. Gets the stun off. Heavy's dominance ticking through. Carbon now. Oh, they're going to lock him up. Nice soul shackles there. Intrepid really can't get out of this one. He's been well and truly caught out. 2 kills going over towards Cardred there. And as a Vayne player, that is a dream.
Yeah, let's go back and have a look at that, because I stand corrected. Cardred doing a really nice job. We're going to miss a little bit of that there, but we can see the cleanup here on Renekton. Cardred showing some really nice mechanics there to get the Condemn onto Renekton in the jungle up there, just above the top tower.
Yeah, very, very well played by Mind Freak. You know, we're a bit concerned about Carvin, how aggressive he was going, but now I look at this team, and really there's only kind of one gear you can take when you get into a fight, especially with the Trundle. Once you've made your Dragon's Descent in, you can't really crawl your way out of the pit. So, nice work there by AVANT GARDE. Looking for more opportunities now to create some leads. They are still behind in gold. They are still 1 tower down.
Yeah, the Dragon going to be up in 2 minutes as well, so that'll be the focus of these 2 teams in just a second. Bot lane, though, is going to be a little bit of a fight coming out.
Man, drop time, and Spooks enters the fray there with a flourish. Erect Gymnast now is going to be in big trouble. Rosie will catch him. Dark Binding flings out just to maybe try and catch the Annie off. Erect Gymnast will drop here. Impaired is caught in the middle of this as well for some reason. Now Spook's going to take away with Spear there, going to throw the yellow card out towards Impaired, and Swiffer now is on the hunt. Radier is going to be chasing as well. Speaking of on the hunt, that's been activated. We can see the speed up there as well. Immunity looking good so far. Mind Freak in disarray after that fight. It's all well and good to throw spears all day, but when you lose your tank and your support, really in a situation you couldn't afford to, there was no way the Mind Freak could really get their money back out of that exchange. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, and AVANT GARDE really got a little bit of a advantage back, but they just threw it away again just there. They did get the bot tower down for their efforts, which was, you know, they got something for it at least, but again, they've put the momentum back in Immunity's favor, and really, I think Immunity, Cardred going aggressive again.
That's it, he is going in, the spear's going to catch Swift, it's going to be an auto attack for Choo Choo's, he'll pick that one up. Really opportunistic play from AVANT GARDE there, an opportunity potentially to take this mid tower as well. Only 40% of the health left, but the wave a long way behind. So far back, in fact, by the time they take this tower, Super will already be available or able to join the fray with his ultimate ability. A lot of pressure coming here from AVANT GARDE. Opportunism is their middle name at this stage, and they're doing nice. Oh, Black Shield is going to, sorry, the Shield is going to be able to shield off a little bit of damage there. Carbon Core, Black Shield goes on him. Dominus, look at Intrepid, he's absolutely in the middle of the mix there. The tower goes down. Impaired now trying to get out. Pillar of Filth is going to cover his escape. We're going to see a nice Dark Binding towards Spooks as well. Mind Freak pick up a tower and only lose Carbon in the process.
Yeah, Cardred is actually really putting the fight to Immunity. He's doing, you know, pretty much everything he can to get these picks out. He's been the one that's, he forced those 2 kills up in the top lane, going aggressive onto Swiffer, and then again in the mid lane, he got that, he really set up that kill in the mid lane there, again on Swiffer. So Swiffer's positioning, maybe not the best tonight. You can see he's died 3 times, which is the most deaths out of anyone in the game, apart from Carbon on AVANT GARDE. So maybe he's not too familiar with Twisted Fate.
Look, if Swiffer wants to be an effective spearhead in setting up kills all around the map, he needs to get a bit of money behind him. Now, Deathcap, he's rushed that. Hasn't even gotten his Sorcerer's Treads yet, so really knows he needs a bit of ability power on his side because, I mean, he's farming fairly well, and you're just not able to pick up the kills. Maybe just dropping a little bit too often. He's not the most mobile champ. He's not really forgiving if you get yourself caught in a situation that you shouldn't be in. So we'll give him that now. But Choo-Choo's, on the other hand, is making good, especially in those team fights. As a Nidalee player, it can be so hard to actually be impactful in team fights because you are fragile. So, you know, going into Cougar form and jumping into the fray isn't always the best idea. Choo-Choo's with some good, I think, target selection, just keeping a good eye around the fight, and he's definitely earned those 2 kills he's got.
Yeah, you can see pretty much every time someone on immunity gets stunned by a Wreck Gymnast, you can see Choo-Choo's bringing that spear pretty much straight away behind him, doing sometimes up to half a champion's health with that. And that kind of damage is really only going to increase as this game goes on. And so, as I said before, the longer the game goes, probably the better for Avant. I feel like they have a little bit stronger of a late game than Immunity do. They just need to watch out for Immunity's global pressure around the map.
All right, now Immunity trying to pressure that top turret. We do see Cartridge joining in as well. He's going to go aggressive towards Radier. Not really sure why here. Radier isn't able to out-duel AVANT at this point in the game, but there are still 2 other Immunity players awaiting in the wings there. So Cartridge going to have to back right off of that one now and Impaired. Going to shove it as well. We can see, look at this, Choo-Choo's in quite deep here. May potentially be caught. He's now leapt into the Baron Pit, and oh no, he's going to run into 2. Yes, indeed. The ultimate is coming out there from Twisted Fate. That is a yellow card. Choo-Choo's getting caught, and that is probably pretty simply poor positioning from Choo-Choo's there.
Yeah, and just getting himself into trouble there. And we're going back again and having a look. He did just get himself in a really bad position. A nice flash coming out from him, trying to avoid it, but 2 flashes following up from Immunity. Unlucky for Choo-Choo's because he did have a little bit of a nice moves there coming there. But yeah, unfortunately for him, not able to get out of there.
All right, in the meantime, that inner turret in the mid lane going down for AVANT GARDE, and we saw a couple of the fake man drops there from Spooks. The Black Shield now is going to have to force Carbon out. Choo-Choo's is still dead, just now respawned. The flash is coming out. Exhaust going down on Impaired as well. A lot of pressure coming out here from Immunity. There's not a lot that AVANT GARDE can do to defend this tower. Absolutely fantastic play from them now. AVANT GARDE cannot counter siege right now. We can see Choo-Choo's trying to throw a few spears out at the retreating backs of Immunity. But Immunity may be able to turn this one on them. Yellow card locked away for Swiffer. Won't be like that forever though, and eventually Immunity are going to have to just cut their losses and get out.
Yeah, Immunity just so strong, really. You can see their rotations really just dominating everyone in the scene, and it's showing here again against AVANT GARDE. And despite AVANT GARDE doing quite a nice job with their mechanics and that sort of thing, they're just not working as well as a team together as Immunity are.
No, you're dead right. Immunity, you know, like Mindfreak were earlier on in the game, they're being opportunistic and really, really taking those objectives when they have to. They're seeing an opening, they're going for it, and you've got to hand it to them because, you know, Choo-Choo's was definitely dead, and AVANT GARDE still kind of felt like they had the opportunity to defend their objectives now, as Cartridge going to have to go aggressive here. Goes towards Radier as well. A lot of damage coming down, a bit of a heal as well. Radier going to have to flash over the wall. Now Intrepid is coming towards Cartridge. 1v2. Oh, Cartridge picks it up. Nice kill there over towards Radier. Going to have to back off now as Intrepid is coming towards him. The teleport coming out from Impaired as well. Pillar of Filth will come out, but will it be enough to stop that Renekton Black? Oh, Dark Running is going to miss. Intrepid going low. One more auto attack will do it. Impaired picks him up now. Spooks is going to be caught. Can he get away? No, he cannot. He faces his fate, and that is a double kill going over towards Impaired on that Trundle. Rosie sitting off to the side of that fight. Didn't really want to get involved. That's a lot of damage from a spear there. One more from Choo-Choo's who's going to seal that Annie up nicely. Almost and dead Annie from 2 spears now. Yellow card over the wall from Swift now. Choo-Choo's in front with a Black Shield trying to block any of those projectiles now. Nice spear towards that Twisted Fate. Mindfreak push right up against the walls of Immunity's base. Swiffer is still looking for an opportunity to pick up Gymnast. Oh, so close with that middle wild card, but Gymnast is going to be able to get away. That's a tower for Mindfreak. It's 5 apiece.
Yeah, man, and honestly, my mind is blown by how well Cartridge is playing today. He's really setting up everything for AVANT GARDE, and that's very difficult to do when you're playing an AD carry, especially on Vayne, who's not really like the strongest of AD carries until really late game. You really have to rely on your team, but Cartridge doesn't really seem to care about that at all. And he's just going in and doing whatever he wants and picking up these kills. Those mechanics in the top lane, just outplaying Radier and Intrepid together. So it was a 2v1 and he got a kill and survived as well. So really just have to say how well he's playing.
A lot of potential there in Cartridge and Mindfreak, and we spoke to them earlier and they said they were actually feeling pretty confident about this game, and despite some minor slip-ups there, and Immunity have had plenty of their own. I've said it again, haven't I? AVANT GARDE, we're feeling pretty confident about this one. So I think it's safe to say that you know, they had some stuff planned. I mean, when you throw subs into the mix, you never really know how things are going to go here now with Mindfreak pressuring this inhibitor turret here. A lot of damage towards Choo-Choo's there, but they're doing nicely. Oh, Grand Skyfall's going to come through. Surely they notice that. The ultimate from Twisted Fate as well. Cardred in the mix. Cardred's going to leap back out of that one. Cardred just able to get enough damage down towards Radier there. AD carries both dead at the very start of the fight. Jim is very low. Dark Binding going over towards Spooks. Going to lock him up now. Swiffer in a bit of trouble here. Carvin coming towards him as well, trying to get the Flame Breath onto him. Timbers comes down, locks up to Wildcard comes through as well. Carvin is going to drop. No, he's going to just be able to get out of there. That's about as low as you can get without dying, ladies and gentlemen. That 1 HP impaired now. Throwing up the Pillar of Filth is going to be enough to get him out there as well. Mindfreak on full-scale retreat at this stage. They are all super, super low, taking a lot of damage respectively. Now, Choo-Choo's probably the healthiest of those, and he is probably the last person that wants to be in that fray there. So, 2 spears thrown here just on the backside of that fight. I think we lost an AD carry on either side. Both teams going to back away.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Eric Gymnast managed to get out of there. I thought for sure he was dead. Intrepid chasing him down, but somehow managed to get out of there. And so yeah, one death apiece for both these teams, and the scores are locked 9-9, and really there's only about 1k gold separating these two teams. And now AVANT GARDE are going to pick up this dragon, so that'll even up the scores a bit, but they do need to be careful because immunity is collapsing upon them.
That's right, they don't have much health either, so they might have to flash this one, or at least try something a little bit extra special to get away here. We're going to see a leap across from Choo-Choo just as the yellow card hits him. If he gets caught between a rock and a hard place there, and he's going to get Dark One. Oh, clean him up! Choo-Choo's stay in the pits. So that happens. I mean, AVANT GARDE turning potentially situation.
Yeah, and I think AVANT GARDE actually going to be quite happy with that result. I thought they would be in quite a bit of trouble there coming out of that one, but yeah, going 1 for 1 again there and picking up the dragon as well. So they're actually now ahead in gold for the first time in quite a while. Maybe the first time in the match. I'm not entirely sure who got ahead first in the very early stages of this match, but now they are just about maybe 50 gold, because you can see the two gold gener ticking up and matching each other, and now immunity ahead again. So you can tell how close this game is just watching the stream. You don't even have to really look at the game. You can see just from that. But Cardred going aggressive as well.
Oh, he used the attack move and attacked the ward, I think, instead of Rosie there. So that means now he's in a bit of trouble here. Spook's coming towards him. Heartseeker strike towards Cardred, and that's a stun, and that's a very dead Vayne. And fortunately, there, Cardred trying to be that opportunistic AD carry and getting caught in a position that really his team probably didn't want him to be in now. So that's going to kill going in immunity's favour. Gold's still very close, though. Very close. Only 600 really in other team's favour. That's pretty impressive work by AVANT GARDE Ascension here. But that tower's going to come up for immunity. They take the top outer turret, finally continue their push down the lane.
Yeah, Swiffer here as well, pushing the mid lane. Just going to back out there as he sees AVANT GARDE heading down towards him. And, being that kind of aggressive AD carry player, Cardred, obviously not every sort of engage is going to work out for you, and that's really the first one that's gone against him. And I would take that. 2 kind of positive engages for 1 negative one there. Really, if he's going to keep doing that, he shouldn't be too disappointed if he dies occasionally.
Right, of course, he's bound to be more aggressive. He needs to create some opportunities for himself, because sometimes his team just won't be in a position to do that for him. Guys, over towards the blue side here. Mindfreak, of course, AVANT GARDE. Should I say, going to ward up that Baron. Going to get some sight on now. Probably a little bit early for that to be an issue at this stage. But we can see now lots of wards down over the blue side of their jungle. Not so much on the other side. So they're definitely concerned about immunity sort of going fairly deep there. But to be fair, immunity have not really been, spearheading in to AVANT GARDE's territory so much this game. I mean, we've seen them, go for those objectives, head for those lanes, but it's always been AVANT GARDE pushing and prodding and just getting caught out sometimes.
And this game is 26 minutes in now, so we're really sort of starting to hit the stage where Vayne and Nidalee are going to start to become super carries, really. If Nidalee can hit a spear, like a critical spear, onto Radier maybe when his spell shield is down, rather, that could turn the fight. Or if Cardred on Vayne manages to get a good fight off, that can really turn this game heavily into AVANT GARDE's favor. Neither team so far has really been super ahead just yet. So it's going to be, heading into the later game, it's going to be a lot easier to get ahead off one team fight.
40.7 to 42.5k gold and 1 tower in favor of Team Immunity. That's the story right now, ladies and gentlemen. buff on Choo-Choo's in mind for Avant Garde again, pushing down mid. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just not going to get the name right at any stage tonight. So let's just accept that now. But there's some aggression here as well. Great pillar of filth though to stop the advance, but Choo-Choo's going to get jumped on. Dragon's descent straight on towards Spooks and Swiffer. Swiffer going very, very low. Spear to follow up. Spooks dropping a lot of damage there. Carmen on his own took out Swiffer, but no, on the edge of that fight, we do see Cartridge drop there. Radio and Rosie, brothers in arms to the very end now. Impaired trying to come forward there. Black Shield is on him. The heal is good now. Rosie gets a big stun. That's a 3-man stun, and Trevor coming in from the back line as well. Choo-Choo's is still standing. Don't even know how. Radio is definitely going to get caught up in there. We do see off screen Rosie go down as well. Ridiculous fight.
Yeah, that's a big team fight win there coming out for Avant Garde. Obviously, Cartridge got taken out pretty quickly, but Carbon's ultimate, I feel there, coming over with the Dragon's Descent to save Choo-Choo's was really the turning point there. You would have expected Immunity to win that fight if Choo-Choo's had gone down straight away there, but Carbon just pushing the chasers away from Choo-Choo so that he could survive there, bring out those extra damages coming from the spears, doing quite a lot of damage and turning that fight around.
Oh, I'm telling you, Paired, his pillars of filth have been absolutely on point tonight, completely stopping Immunity in their tracks. They're trying to come forward. They want to be aggressive. We see, you know, straight away Grand Skyfall was just a big red flag to Impaired saying, and bam, straight away, he puts up the pillar and really makes it hard for Immunity to come forward with any kind of coordination.
Yeah, and we actually did think that Impaired would be taking the Shyvana, actually, and so I believe I was having a look at some of his stats beforehand, before this game, and he only played a few games on Trundle so far, so he's doing quite a lot of work, really, for a champion that he maybe is not so familiar with compared to other sort of champions. And here goes Carter again!
Wow, just completely exploding Reindeer there. He never stood a chance. Got a bit of a stun coming out here from Rosie, but Impaired, Carbon, Choo-Choo's all going to jump on top of that. And now it's all about Avant Garde. They are picking up these kills. Don't know how. Soul Shackle's coming out now. Cartridge is going to come towards Swiffer. Swiffer did pick up Erect Gymnast in the process, but he pretty much fed a kill over to his AD carry in Baron time.
Yeah, and Uber, I got to say, it looks like Immunity being a little bit shaky this game.
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5 or so minutes, we've seen a fair few mistakes come out from them. That being said, Carbon and Impaired have been ridiculously good. Grand Skyfall now going to come down towards Baron Nashor. Spook's going to get caught. Baron going over towards Mind Freak. Of course, Avant Garde, that kill as well over towards Spooks. He's going to drop as well. It's killing me, but ladies and gentlemen, what an intense fight from them. Now they have some time to just sort of reset a bit now. They've got the lead. They've got that Baron buff. Where do they go next?
Yeah, they really sort of need to just kind of cool down and go back, buy a few items, see what they've got. Maybe send Impaired to the bot lane, because he does have that teleport up, and then look for some Choo-Choo's magic in the mid lane, maybe in the top lane as well. Just try and get that split push and siege comp really working out well for them after they've just sort of bought all their items and stuff. So we see Choo-Choo's now going back, going to pick up his Void Staff there, you know, really amplify his damage against the tankier targets like, you know, like Renekton and Pantheon, who have got a little bit of magic resist. Actually, Renekton doesn't have any magic resist picking up yet. Pantheon, on the other hand, does have a fair bit of magic resist. So that's going to really bring his damage up against those targets.
Good spread of kills here over on the Avant Garde Ascension side of things. We can see everyone doing fairly well in terms of money. Unfortunately, over on Immunity, it's really only Spooks and Rady that have much in the bank at this stage, and that's really reflected in their builds. Siva, you know, starting to hit her sweet spot, really, but after I saw Rady get caught out like that, I'm not really sure it's going to be enough. Cardred is getting very big, even picking some magic resist up there as well. So, you know, definitely a lot of respect towards that, you know, the Rosie and the effects of Swiffer as well in those fights. Suspected Cows coming out, so a bit of health, bit of magic resistance. Definitely a bit of concern for that now. A bit of wall clearing happening here for Avant Garde. Looking for their next target, and I'd say, I mean, there's only one in the turret left. That's the bottom one. Avant Garde coming forward in numbers.
Yeah, and you know what else is really interesting? Erect Gymnast started off this game with the Frostfang, and now he's got himself a Talisman of Ascension. So he's really, he sold the Frostfang, bought himself a Talisman of Ascension for that teamfight effectiveness, pretty much to counter Radia's ultimate on Siva.
Exactly right, and look, so far so good really for Avant Garde now, just clearing through the jungle of Immunity. And if you're Immunity, like, what are you thinking right now? I'm sure probably a little bit concerned for starters, but how do you start making steps towards bringing yourself out of this slight deficit?
Well, they're not used to losing, so this is going to be pretty unfamiliar territory for them, but they really just got to sort of sit in their base here and wait for the Baron buff to disappear before they really start thinking about making a move, unless they can make a massive pick come out here.
That was a max range spear. That
hurts.
Filthy, absolutely. 85% of Rosie's health going down the gurgler now. This is where AVANT GARDE wanted to be when they picked this kind of composition. When Choo-Choos took this in Italy, they want to be out of siege, and they really can. Absolutely forcing immunity back off their objectives. Rosie just went straight, and he put his hands up and said, "No, you know what? I'm going back to base to heal up. I'm not hanging around here anymore." Question is Choo-Choos going to be able to be accurate enough, and is AVANT GARDE going to be able to capitalize now on the absence of immunity players heading back towards the base? You can see now another wave is going to roll in. Carbon coming forward there does have plenty of nice looking Baron buff around him. Look at Radier, like just getting absolutely hammered now. Look at these, AVANT want to come forward. They know there is no Radier. There is still a full immunity team right now. Though Carbon caught in the mix. Intrepid now is going to come out as well with a dominance. Spook's going super low. This is not looking good for immunity. AVANT GARDE Ascension are coming forward in droves. Choo-Choo's trying to get out here. The barrier does come out. Radier getting beaten around the face by Impaired. Something chronic. We can see Carton trying to come forward as well. Still looking quite healthy there. The static shift proc did take a bit of damage off now. Radier is back in this fight. Looking fairly healthy as well. Carbon forced to jump on out. Carbon is also on the retreater spear back at the retreating AVANT GARDE guys. 18-14 in kills, but that was a very scrappy little fight. I really thought AVANT GARDE had that a little bit more under control, but as soon as Radier got back, it was, you know, the immunity managed to stabilize.
Yeah, because they did want to engage off the back of that advantage that they had. So you know, once Radier did get back, as you say, they got back into the 5v5 rather instead of the 4v5. So 1 kill apiece for both these teams. AVANT GARDE picked up the tower though, so I guess they'd be happy with that. Sieging that top tower is always difficult.
Oh, the pillar of filth is going to catch Rosie out. Oh, and the filthy spear coming straight on through. And that is a dead Rosie now. Carbon low as well. We can see immunity looking fairly healthy. Gold card flash forward comes in. Double kill coming out there for Spooks. Will it be a triple? No. One is going to head over towards Swiffer. Immunity quickly turning that one around in their favor. A 3-for-1 exchange. Despite the fact that AVANT started that one, they threw out the pillar of filth. It was a nice little isolation there. They were not ready to respond.
Oh.
Choo-Choos is on point right now. Looks like I'm watching Dade. Honestly, that's how it feels. Swiffer drops to that spear. My AVANT GARDE are going to pick that one up now, but they do have an open inhibitor here.
Oh, Radier a little bit slow there on the spell shield. Not going to be too much of a problem. Oh, well, actually it is. He flashed out of that one there to survive. And it looks like Choo-Choos. Oh my god!
Yes, please, Choo-Choos for president. A fantastic speed there as well. Gonna take down Radier. Spook's coming forward though as well. Gonna try and duke it out with Choo-Choos. Black Shield is on Choo-Choos now. Can he land a cheeky little spear to clean up Spooks here? Dominus popped on Intrepid. Gymnast now is left alone to fight against Spooks. But will that Tormentor Soul do enough damage?
Stun.
No. Spooks gonna be able to back away from that one as well. Gonna throw down the sweeper. Wow, immunity. Need to take a breath.
That was a heroic defense there coming out from Choo-Choos and Erect Gymnast. And Choo-Choos, as you say, on point with those spears, hitting, I don't know, 4 or 5 really massive spears, leaving me pretty much speechless. And it's something, you know, being able to defend that inhibitor is so big now because Immunity have got the pressure of a mid lane, which they have lost their inhibitor in, and they haven't got a counter inhibitor. So they're going to be having a pushed mid lane. Baron's going to be up in a minute, Dragon going to be up in 40 seconds. So there's these 2 objectives here for AVANT GARDE that they're going to be looking to pressure while there's a lot of pressure going down the mid lane from the creeps.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, the Choo-Choo train has left the station, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward, like, this is now getting seriously strong. Void Star, Death Cap, another nearly large rod, Athenes. That is just not an Italy you want to go up against, especially at range. So AVANT GARDE have at their disposal this pretty nasty pick and split plus siege comp. So now as they push down, we expect to see that Pillar of Filth happen. We're going to see Dark Bindings be coming out absolutely off cooldown. The ability for AVANT GARDE to melt a target after it gets isolated is incredible. But it's the follow-up that they often aren't expecting. Swiffer coming in, getting a yellow card down. We're seeing always Intrepid dominating up, slice and dicing straight into the middle of it. As long as AVANT GARDE can manage that, they can manage the sort of the follow-up that Immunity are trying to make after their catch-outs, they'll be fine.
Yeah, well, Intrepid really just doesn't feel tanky enough against Vayne, and neither does Spooks. Both of them picked up some tanky stats, but, you know, Vayne just pretty much melts anyone once it gets to late game. And this is the late game, and there's going to be a fight!
That's exactly right. Spooks come straight on in there, but the Baron is still alive. He's still doing damage. Double kill coming up here for Radier. Radier is doing all the damage right now. Carbon going very, very low. He does manage to take out Rosie now. Radier super low. Caught in the middle of it here. Impaired coming forward. Impaired will pick him up. Can he make the double here? He did manage to get the shutdown. No, Impaired will taken out. Carbon is in trouble as well. It's going to be a yellow card from Swiffer to secure this one, surely. And all of a sudden, Immunity turn this game on its head. Baron is still available for them. They probably can't take it, but they decimated Mind Freak as they attempted to do so. Gold lead now, stabilizing. It's only about 2.6k. Immunity coming forward. There's some objectives to be taking.
Yeah, well, gold lead doesn't even really matter at this stage in the game. It's really more about who's got the momentum. And at this point right now, Immunity has got the momentum. They're picking up this middle inhibitor. Don't think they'll really be able to pick up anything else after this. Erect Gymnast is going to come up here and try and do something, but he is only a support. Doesn't really have that much damage. Having a bit of a giggle there at Spooks. And, you know, I guess Avant Garde aren't going to be too disappointed with that one. They've only lost an inhibitor. So they can still come back from that quite easily. But now that the roles are reversed, Immunity have got the momentum and they've got that middle inhibitor with the Baron buff up and ready to be taken, which was really the situation that Avant Garde had just before. So it depends now how Avant Garde can really counter this.
Yeah, and if you're Avant Garde as well, you're looking around now for an opportunity to try and just, you know, get that leg back up again. They were in a commanding position. They threw it away pretty easily, and we saw Radier's mechanics were pretty fantastic in that fight. And all it takes is for a late game Sivers Boomerang Blade to get 2 procs straight through an enemy team, and you're starting to look at a lost team fight if you're Avant Garde. And that's pretty much what happened here. Spears flying down the mid lane. Baron is still available. It is live, and both teams will be looking to try and take advantage of that one at this stage. We can see Immunity in numbers here in the mid lane. We saw, obviously, you know, Swiffer ducked off towards the side just to farm it up a little bit. So both teams looking for an opportunity here to get a concrete and distinct advantage, whether it be in numbers, whether it be in positioning. Either one, both teams are trying to look for now. Immunity looking confident enough to head towards that dragon. Pings down the mid lane. Avant aren't really sure what's going on.
Yeah, and interesting decision coming out from Avant to send Carbon top instead of Impaired. Obviously, Impaired does have that teleport, and it looks like they're actually going to be swapping as we speak. No Impaired heading back towards the mid lane, so looks like it's just going to be a straight up 5v5, no teleport in the mix there, which is probably going to favor Immunity because they don't need to really worry about the split push coming out from Impaired. But not going to be too bad for Avant either. If they can keep Choo Choo's and Khajiit alive, it's going to be a team fight win. If Vayne lives, that's just how you win.
A lot of damage coming out from Carbon, and the fight is on. That's a 3-man Soul Shackles. Can the second proc activate? Not quite. The chains are broken now. Carbon in the middle. Yet again, Khajiit doing so much damage towards Intrepid. He does drop to a spear from Choo Choo's there, and we can see that is afoot right now. Swiffer having to head back towards base. A great fight from Avant Garde here. Rosie going to get caught here. The bite. The big old chomp coming out of that young lady. She's going to get caught in the spear. It's a filthy spear because there's a pillar of filth, and the spear's coming straight on through it there. Khajiit as well is going to take down Rosie. That's a huge fight for Avant Garde. 3 for none here. They want to push forward for some more objectives here, at least get themselves a little bit more comfortable in the current situation. Wild cards coming out from Swiffer. Not enough to dissuade Avant Garde.
They might even be able to end this.
Oh, they definitely want to. I'm not really sure if it's possible right now. Grand Skyfall comes down. Black Shield towards Khajiit. Good reactions there from Gymnast there. Oh, wow. That was a very, very quick and dead Spooks there. Spear going across. Oh, Choo Choo's makes it happen. It's an ace for Avant Garde. That is GG. Team Immunity lose the first game of this best of 2 series. Who would have thought it? Avant Garde Ascension doing it and getting it done.
Wow. Honestly, I was speaking to Khajiit before this game during the day, and he said, we're going to beat Immunity tonight. And I said, nah, you're not. And he's just come out and they've proved me wrong so far. So, you know, we're going to be heading into that second game. Immunity losing the first game. Very exciting second game going to be coming up here in just a minute.
I do not think that the Twisted Fate pick worked out at all. I mean, ostensibly it didn't work out.
Yeah.
We went 3, 8, and 9. But, you know, I know that there was a tendency for Immunity to want to create some global pressure there. I understand that, you know, especially with Intrepid not taking any form of teleport. Especially they wanted to counter the mobility of that Trundle and, you know, or the ability from the teleport, should I say. The Twisted Fate pick in lane wasn't over the top. Swiffer is amazing mechanically, and you could see he was beating Choo Choo's. But after that, Choo Choo's just said, mate, I rocked this niddly. Check me out. So many impressive spears. His ability to just turn Immunity back towards their base while they're trying to defend an objective was ridiculous. Fantastic. Trundle. I mean, you know, Impaired really bringing, you know, some fantastic elements of Trundle into play here. Pillar of Filth is an amazing, amazing spell. It's not a hard CC. in conventional terms, but his ability to cut someone off from the rest of their team, stop them, slow them down. There's a brief knock-up if you get it right on them as well. Set them up for a Choo-Choo spear. I mean, Choo-Choo's had Erect Gymnast with Dark Bindings, and he had, Impaired with Pillar of Filth to set people up for easy spears. No wonder he got so many. Fantastic composition there from Avant Garde Ascension.
Yeah, and we'll have to leave it at that one. We'll go to a little quick break before the next game comes up. So we'll just drop the stream here down to a bit of music, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I was younger, they told me I would find it someday. But now it's an echo, a voice that I can barely hear. It left us here in darkness, left us here in haunts I dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Team Down TV's coverage of the Cybergamer Pro Leagues. This is League of Legends, ladies and gentlemen. The only game to play, let's be honest. It's Immunity going up against AVANT GARDE Ascension. First game, a shock upset. Maybe not to all of us, but definitely to some. AVANT GARDE took it out in stunning style straight into Game 2, Elfish Guy.
Yeah, very exciting match coming up here. Now, I don't expect that Immunity are really going to let that game slide and just really fall apart here. Immunity, we know, are one of the biggest contenders in the Oceanic scene, so they're not going to really be a pushover, as you would expect. Some other teams maybe would be if they lost a game in that fashion.
No, I definitely don't think so. I expect Immunity to be coming out absolutely guns blazing. The bans are pretty much the same thus far. Yasuo, Ziggs, LeBlanc being taken away. So, at this stage, still potential for Choo-Choos to go for that Nidalee if Swiffer doesn't pick it up first. And there's always a risk that AVANT GARDE, yep, they're going to ban that out. They're concerned about Swiffer picking up the cat lady.
Yeah, and this way, at least AVANT GARDE still have the opportunity to take that Vayne, which was very impactful for that game, if they do decide that they want to go for that.
Exactly. We're going to see a Evelyn hovered over and over to a Lulu now as well, so that may be a mid lane Lulu, and she's still pretty darn scary. I think Community could be weighing up their options at this stage. I mean, it's nice to be on the blue side as well and kind of know that you can go with whatever you like. So this first pick is always such an impactful one. We expect it to, to be one of those key players, and a lot of eggs being thrown in the basket for Immunity right now as they consider this first pick.
Yeah, Immunity really just hovering over all of these champions, and they've got quite a large roster available to them. Obviously, the Feral Flare junglers are going to be a very strong pick as well. So, in the last game, we did see Spooks actually decide to go for the Elder Lizard item, not actually for a Feral Flare onto Pantheon, which was quite interesting. So maybe he'll decide to go for something else in this game, which actually does utilize the Feral Flare.
Well, to be fair as well, we did see a lot of Spooks around the map, in lanes. There was a lot of time that junglers spent in lanes just pushing. We saw that little mini base race of sorts where we had the lane swap and this tower is really getting shoved into. So no surprise there, I suppose, when you put it that way. Please pick Trundle Impaired. The filthy troll has been too good so far to pass often. Looks like he might be hovering over that one again. I don't know if Immunity really expected that, or if they really have an answer for it at this stage. The sub for AVANT GARDE coming in real strong.
Well, I mean, Trundle is one of Minky Whale's better champions as well, so they obviously would have expected a Trundle coming into this match up until they knew that Minky Whale wasn't going to be playing. So maybe they just didn't make the connection between Impaired and a Trundle, because, it's not one of his main champions. Obviously, we have had a look at his match history, and he's been playing a fair bit of Shyvana. But, Team Immunity would know how to play against a Trundle. They've played against Trundles before, and they've beaten them pretty easily. So, maybe it was just a good day for Impaired, bad day for Team Immunity, or maybe something else going on a little bit behind the scenes there.
You might be right. Anyway, we're seeing some more picks being picked up. That's a Zillion. No lie, ladies and gentlemen. AVANT GARDE picking up that Zillion. I don't know where. We might be seeing a bit of a throwback to Rosie, of course, at Supernova Gold Coast there. To wait and see how that really works in. Oh, no, it wasn't lock-in. Okay. Looked locked into me. Either way, over on the side of Immunity, we have got Shyvana and Lulu and Evelyn all locked away there. So 3 powerhouse champions there, and Immunity really showing their hand early here.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice little combo of champions jumping in there, because if Evelyn can get in there with her ultimate, and then Shyvana can get on top of that, and a Lulu ulti on top of the Shyvana, that's going to be a lot of CC onto AVANT GARDE, so they're going to need to watch their positioning quite carefully, otherwise they're going to get caught out a little bit by Team Immunity.
Alright, Choo-Choo's again considering the Zillion pick. Doesn't really know what he wants. It's going to be the Wukong locked away. The Dynamo in the jungle so far, and we're seeing so many of your challenger tier junglers with an excessive amount of games on him in their match history there. We're seeing Cardred go for Sivir, which is safe to say is a pick he's very comfortable on, and I expect to see maybe a Thresh or maybe even another Morgana pickup for Erect Gymnast. I'm surprised that we didn't see Thresh at all last game.
Yeah, well, Thresh has fallen off a little bit recently. We're seeing quite a lot more Morgana, as you say, but still quite a strong pick, so we may see him get picked up here. Maybe wouldn't be the best pickup against Sivir, because she does have that spell shield, and especially if AVANT GARDE, if Team Immunity do pick Thresh and then AVANT GARDE, they still have the opportunity to take Morgana. So really, Thresh is never going to land a hook against a Morgana Sivir lane.
Alright, well, we get to see that pick yet, but over on the side of Immunity. Rosie with Zyra is always a scary prospect. I've seen Rosie play Zyra in multiple positions, and he's been very, very damaging in all of them, but it's going to be Thresh picked up to join the Ezreal of Reindeer, so interesting combo in that bottom lane. It is going to be a Lulu mid, and yeah, that's going to be pretty darn scary. And like Orianna's a great champion, generally speaking, but sometimes she just gets crunched in lane. I remember when Gragas was the flavor of the month, so to speak, for that mid lane, and Orianna's were just getting destroyed in every game I pretty much spectated. I've just seen now Choo-Choo. Choo-Choo's a very accomplished Orianna player as well. He's got a ton of those champions under his belt. Swiffer, though, we've seen what mid Lulu can do. We've also seen what Swiffer can do. So it follows that that mid Lulu Swiffer combination is going to be absolutely frightening, and it is a Morgana pickup for Erect Gymnast in that bot lane. Teams just getting shuffled up now a little bit now. So over on the side of Immunity, we're going to see Shyvana on Intrepid, or Intrepid, should I say, going towards the top side. It will be the Spooks man with Evelyn in the jungle. A mid Lulu for Swiffer. We're going to have the Ezreal Thresh bot lane for Immunity, and it looks like AVANT GARDE's team shuffling up, looking pretty strong as well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that Thresh pickup for Team Immunity. As I said before, I don't think he's going to be able to do much against Morgana and Sivir in the bot lane with all those spell shields coming out. Maybe Rosie can prove me wrong. He's one of the best supports in Oceania. But having said that, so is Erect Gymnast. So it's going to be a very strong matchup here for AVANT GARDE, I feel. But Team Immunity might really pull off something. Maybe they're looking for a lane swap here against Impaired once again, which didn't really work out too much in their favor. They did get that first blood, so it was okay for them, but it didn't really snowball the game away from AVANT GARDE.
What do you do though, in AVANT GARDE's position? Do you try and force that lane swap again? I really questioned the wisdom of putting Trundle in a 1v2 situation ever, and they really obviously set up Immunity in the early stages to just make a solid push there in terms of towers. Is this, are you wanting to do that again here? We know that Sivir's sort of early game isn't prodigious, to say the very least, or are AVANT GARDE wanting to stay with manual standard lane assignments?
Well, I think the reason AVANT GARDE decided to do that was they wanted a little bit of free farm onto Vayne, because they did have the Vayne, obviously a weak laner, so they put her up there in the 2v1 against Team Immunity's top laner, Intrepid, who was on Renekton, who he doesn't have too bad of a time in the 2v1s, and obviously they had that teleport as well. I believe that would have been a strategy that AVANT GARDE decided to set up there, with the teleport onto Trundle, get that jungle farm a little bit so that he wasn't too far behind, but unfortunately it didn't work out quite well for them because Spooks was able to get into the bot lane, pick up the kill early, and really put Impaired on the back foot. Yeah,
I mean, I like the idea. I thought the idea definitely had merit. It just didn't really eventuate where, but it's a lane swap and you're 3 minutes into the game. Well, what do you expect is going to happen to the solo laner? It's always, and with the junglers with inverted positioning, so obviously they were on the other side of the map from each other. You'd think that AVANT GARDE maybe would have seen that coming, but they didn't, or Impaired at least didn't in that case, and hugged the tower a little bit too much. Look, Wukong Orianna, nasty stuff with that combination. Yeah. That is going to be a big draw card for AVANT GARDE in this match if they can get it off.
Yeah, having said that though, it's the same on the side of Immunity. They have also got that wombo combo coming out with the Shyvana and then the Lulu ultimate on top of that. So really both these teams having quite strong team fight compositions feel like maybe Avant Garde have got a little bit of an advantage there as well, because they do have that spell shield coming out from Erect Gymnast, so he's going to really be able to help his team out, especially his AD carry Kardred, get out of these difficult situations.
Well, I mean, we've seen that from Gymnast last game. Every time a Grand Skyfall circle appeared, it was a black shield straight towards Kardred. Every time. And as a result, you know, it wasn't viable for Spooks to choose Kardred as his target for that, to lay that stun down. And a huge amount of freedom there for Kardred's Vayne in that last game. It's just able to really just hang around the fight and do damage, at least for the first part of it. So again, Erect Gymnast is fantastic at that kind of job, and Kardred very, very safe in his hands. Radier and Rosie, though, we're looking at a lane here that, of course, Ezreal is, you know, super mobile, able to put down a lot of poke as well. Really, really strong if he gets ahead, but as you sort of said, the Thresh is maybe not such a valued pickup nowadays. Would you prefer to see an Annie, perhaps? Or if you were Immunity, who'd you be putting with that Ezreal?
Well, I don't think really anything can go up against a well-played Morgana at this point in time. Obviously, seeing Leona picked up a fair bit as well against her, because she does have that ability to get in anyway, and then kind of choose her target. Thresh more, though, is you have to use the hook to engage unless you have some sort of a move speed or a flash, and in that kind of time, Morgana really has time to position herself well with that spell shield. So I think something maybe like an Annie, as you say, would have been a better idea, because she's got more AoE kind of impact on the game, rather, whereas Thresh has got really more of a single target focused ability in his death sentence, which can be completely blocked by Morgana's spell shield, whereas someone with an AoE kind of stun, Leona or Annie, can kind of do a bit more in the team fight, even if they do get that ability partially stunned by Morgana, or stopped by Morgana, rather.
So let's cast our view to the early game here, the early stages of the match. Lulu in the mid lane. Now, as far as I understand, there's been some tweaks in that department. She's not perhaps as nasty as she used to be, correct?
Yeah, she has been a little bit nerfed, and obviously we did see her pretty much being the mid pick until the Sheen nerfs, I believe, the Lichbane nerfs, which kind of hit her a little bit. But she is still kind of a strong pickup here, especially against Orianna, who does like to trade with her auto attacks early on in the game, which is going to give Lulu a little bit of advantage, because obviously Lulu's auto attacks are also extremely strong. Probably a little bit stronger than Orianna's in the early game, but both these champions kind of play very similar to each other. They've both got that shield, and they've both got fairly strong auto attack trades. So it's really going to be whoever can kind of abuse their range a little bit better and kind of bait out a free auto attack here and there, who's going to really get the advantage in the lane.
Yeah, I feel like Lulu is a champion that just stifles your opponent's ability to go all in, because, you know, if you see them trying to set up, you know, for something big, you just turn around and wild growth, and, well, okay, you're mad. I've got, you know, an extra at least 300 health at this stage. You know, it kind of, you know, players are trying to calculate the amount of damage they need to deal with a Lulu. They've always got to account for that. And Orianna's the kind of champion that spends time in lane, will try and knock you down some health, you know, get the, you know, command attack, get the distance in there and chunk you down, until which point we can come forward and use that ultimate. And I don't know, but Choo Choo's having picked up barrier makes me kind of feel like that's not really his plan here. And kind of makes sense, really, trying to deal with that Lulu, who just, the amount of survivability she has is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you typically see Orianna take the barrier up against assassin-type champions. Obviously, none of them really on Immunity's roster at this point, so Ignite maybe would have been a good choice for Choo Choo's here, but the barrier bait, combined with the shield coming out, the Command Protect coming out from Orianna, is really quite impactful as well, because it's really quite a lot of health, or, you know, a shield coming out onto Orianna that you don't expect coming out if you're tower diving or something like that. So maybe we'll see a couple of baits coming out here from Choo Choo's. He might stick around in lane when he's really low and force a tower dive coming from Spooks or something like that, who is not technically, you would say, the tankiest champion on Evelyn. So they'll need to watch out for that one.
All right, well, as we can see, Avant Garde are pretty much setting up in the one spot, just trying to scout out any attempts from Immunity to get in there and try and do anything sneaky. But the fact of the matter is, when you've got a Morgana with the Dark Binding level 1, you don't really want to take any chances. We can see that from Immunity right now. They are fanned out across the map, and you can see that Thresh in the mid lane. Really no attempt from either team to make a foray, I guess, into the opposite team's jungle at this stage.
Ooh, maybe.
Very much. Ooh. As I say that, Avant Garde now moving forward as a group. Juniors at the front are going to try and hit those dark bindings. None of them are going to be spotted out at all by Team Immunity. However, Ping's going over towards the blue side of Avant Garde. So Immunity going to pretty much mirror this maneuver. Minus, of course, the Shyvana there of Intrepid. Intrepid is going to go and check the blue, and Cat's out the bag there. Avant Garde got to be quick about this. They will be taking away that blue buff, and the same be happening for Immunity.
Yeah, and just for those who didn't know, who didn't tune in for the first game, both these teams have got a sub for their top laner. Intrepid there, as we see, just burning his flash, is the sub top laner for Team Immunity, and Impaired on the other side, who actually looks like he's going to be doing the same tactic as last game, which is stealing a little bit of experience from the jungle and then teleporting into the bot lane, is the sub for the top lane for Avant Garde.
Very, very early on to see the flash burn from Intrepid there, but the fact is he knew if he eats a dark binding, he gets chunked, he can no longer farm in that lane unless he goes back, because he's just not worth it. One more engagement will probably be the end of him. So Intrepid has to be very cagey about this. If you're ever in a 1v2, and top laners will tell you it is probably one of the hardest parts about playing League of Legends. It's just not enjoyable really now. You can see a lot of harassment in that mid lane, and as you'd expect, Immunity trying to make hay while the sun shines here. They are sending Rosie towards mid lane to set up something onto Choo Choo. Spooks is there as well. Choo Choo's, however, playing fairly cagey, not coming forward too far. Rosie might not give him a choice, though. We'll see a lot of damage coming down. Oh, the death sentence! Choo Choo's gonna have to pop the barrier. You know, I wouldn't bother doing it. First blood over towards Swiffer. Excellent use of that free support player. Rosie rotating up, gonna pick up that kill.
Yeah, and I don't know about the wisdom of this for Avant Garde. They're going to pick up this top tower here, but they're going to lose quite a lot of damage onto the bot tower and the mid tower as well, because Impaired hasn't even decided to go down into the bot lane. They've pretty much given Radier a free lane, and they're looking to push this top lane super, super hard. And I guess they're going to get this extra top tower again, but you know, Immunity is going to trade that as well, and also have a CS advantage.
Again, Immunity going to come out on top with Dragon Control as well. Mid outer turret down. Bottom outer turret will fall. Immunity are looking good. They managed to take those 2 towers, and, you know, Avant Garde took 2 as well, but I mean, let's be honest, which towers would you really rather have? It is a deep push here for Avant Garde, and they are continuing on to try and take that inhibitor turret now. Bit of damage going down towards Swiffer there. Care of Choo Choo's. Again, Radier just chilling out, having an easy time. Clockwork Wind-Up really doing some work there towards Swiffer. It's going to be an inhibitor turret down before 4.5 minutes. Now we see Death Sentence go down towards Impaired. This may not eventuate. Now Black Shield is going to ward off a little bit of the damage, but Immunity now coming out of their base, forcing Avant Garde back.
Yeah, and the issue here now for Avant Garde is because they didn't get that turret down, it's going to heal up. But Spooks might be in trouble.
Spooks will get caught by this one easily enough, so that is going to be a kill picked up there for Avant Garde. They are really... This is very interesting. This is not standard play by any stretch of the imagination. They are literally giving up this free farm to Radiant. I don't know how wise that is now, as Carbon trying to pull out there does get the decoy off. As, you know, Avant Garde, they are hanging in this top lane. They're really not willing to go anywhere. We can see Cardred is low on mana. Just enough left for the 1 spell shield, so we'd have to make it count. Avant Garde have got to back off now. We do see Choo Choo's with a bit of time to himself in that mid lane. That's going to be important. But Radier is getting big.
But this is something that Avant Garde need to be very careful with what they're doing, because they don't want to stick around together all in the same lane for too long. Otherwise, they're going to lose too much experience. Obviously, when you're all grouped up together, you're sharing that experience. And that entire bot lane experience, probably 5 or 6 waves by this stage, has just gone to the tower, basically, which, you know, obviously doesn't level up. So they missed a lot of experience there. Impaired here, though, has got the double buffs, and he's got actually a giant spell, so he's looking pretty healthy down there against Radier. However, Radier's picked up 37 CS, whereas Cardred's only got 20, so he's a little bit behind. And that's going to be the issue here for Avant Garde. They really need to keep snowballing this game, otherwise they're going to get too far behind on experience and levels, and also CS. It looks like they're going to be doing that by trying to pick up this dragon.
Very early attempted dragon here. Immunity off to the sides. We do see Rosie, of course, going to get some vision there with that lantern. I don't know if Avant can really make this happen. Swiffer getting caught up in the dark body, though. We see Cardred coming forward. Choo Choo's caught on the backside of that one as well. No one is level 6 yet. Swiffer drops down. That's an important kill for Cardred, and the battle for dragon continues. Avant Garde now returning to try and do away with that one. That is very impressive work there. And all it was a dark binding. Erection is making it happen.
Yeah, and this is really the first kind of innovation that we've seen coming out from the Oceanic scene. There hasn't been too many crazy sort of strategies coming out so far. This is really the first time we've seen anyone sort of deviate from the meta in terms of Oceanic teams, at least. And it's actually working out quite well for Avant Garde at this stage. They have an 800 gold lead, and they're pushing down this bot tower as well. Don't think they're going to be able to get it because Spooks is here.
Yep, smart flash there as well, as we do see Spooks coming forward, and that's a bit of collateral damage there. Eric Gymnast is finally going to drop, and kills and tower takes even gold, only 100 out of Kilter here. And I mean, I don't even think Avant Garde are playing outside the meta. I think they're playing a different game right now. I don't know where they've been, what they've been playing the last few days, but this is not what we're used to seeing. A little bit hard as well to try and keep track of as well. However, Immunity still playing standard. Well, as standard is as standard does for these guys, and you can see Intrepid now trying to push in that top tower, and for all the effort of Avant Garde to be unpredictable and a bit different, it hasn't really manifested itself into a big advantage yet.
Yeah, it did look like they were getting quite a lot of an advantage out of that a couple of minutes ago, but again, now the gold is pretty even, and you got to remember, Avant Garde have picked up the Dragon as well, so they're a little bit behind on CS, and really you can see the difference here between both the 80 carries. Karja is behind by half of Radius.
He's also getting completely beat on right now, and he's going to drop. I don't know what happened there. I think it was an attempt for a bit of a Dark Binding Boomerang Blade attack towards Immunity, but Immunity had the players in the right spot to take away this blue buff now as well, and there's not a darn thing Avant Garde can do about it right now. We can see EGM off to the side, and he's going to tower under the comforting shadow of his own tower there, and Impaired keeping in that top lane as well. Of course, looking towards the mid lane, Choo Choo's is staying there, so blue buff's still there. They're going to be taken away from Choo Choo's, going to impair his ability to shove that lane in, which is what Orianna wants to do.
Yeah, it looks like we're pretty much seeing the standard game coming out again now from Avant Garde. They look like they've decided they want to go back into their standard lanes, and we can see Impaired there just putting down a ward on the blue buff, so maybe a steal going to come out here. A little sneaky ward there in the bot lane for Cardred.
Yep, and he cleverly baited out the hook and got himself a free mana for his trouble as well. But that's cute, and that's a bit cheeky, but now the rubber's going to hit the road here. We do see Rady is level 6. He's 2 levels ahead of Cardred. Cardred half health now, trying to cower under that tower. Rosie even has a level up on both the AD carry and support of Avant Garde. So, if you're Immunity, you're coming forward with confidence right now. There is really not much that, Cardred can do. Cardred now level 5, Rady at level 7. It's 2 levels, but at this stage of the game, it's a huge bonus. True Shot Barrage is available.
Yeah, really, well, at any stage of the game, 2 levels on an 80 carry above your opposition's 80 carry is quite a big deal. And it really goes to show you how much experience Avant Garde did lose doing that 4-man push strat in the top lane.
Flash coming out from Carbon there as well. True Shot Barrage swings on through Carbon, very, very low. Alright, Jim is going to take a bit of damage from that as well. Cardred not even able to defend here, and it's all about Immunity's push power right now. Time that Radius spent in lane getting farmed up is now starting to turn into actual results, actual concrete results, because Immunity have this freedom right now. They are so confident. Spooks, as he always does, gets himself in the right place at the right time. They can take turret after turret, Radius continuing to get free farm. 78 CS, 80 CS to 31 of Cardred. Massive.
Teleport coming in here, though, from Impaired.
Not sure what he's trying to make happen here. Does have the Pillar of Filth available. Will he throw it out in front of Radiant? Yes. Rosie gets stopped up there. It's just going to slow Immunity up, but Impaired taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Shield going over towards Impaired. Shockwave is available there. Spook's going to be forced to flash away. We saw the Cyclone get used for essentially nothing right now. Avant Garde now having to pull on out of this one. Cardred is so low. Dark Binding's going to miss. Impaired gets caught in a hook, but the Black Shield comes down on him as well. Avant Garde don't really have too much to work with right now. Shockwave is still available, but I don't know. No Cyclone for them to really rely on. Oh, Cardred is still level 5, no on the hunt. I really think that Avant Garde have got to back away.
Yeah, and they are doing that, and it's not looking good just now for Avant Garde. 5 minutes ago, you would have said they had the advantage, but Immunity just turned this around and really showing that the meta is the meta, and that's why people play it, because it is the best still at the moment. Spooks here, catching out Choo Choo's. Don't know if he's going to be able to pick this one up.
No, Choo Choo's has the barrier. He's forced to use it. Shockwave's going to pull them both out of the tower. It's not going to be enough damage, though, to deal with Swiffer. Swiffer already used the Giant Growth, so there was already that knock-up effect. We're going to go have a look at a quick replay of that.
Yeah, and you can see Spooks here just getting that catch and the ultimate really nice here, but Swiffer going to flash in super aggressive, and despite that ultimate coming out from Choo Choo's, he wasn't able to keep himself alive. And the barrier as well being used there by Choo Choo's, not enough to keep him alive against Swiffer, who used the Ignite there, as well as all of his abilities to take him down.
Yeah, to be fair, you know, if wow, auto attack went out onto Radier despite him recalling. I think to be fair, Choo-Choo's could have been a little bit more trigger happy using that, using that shockwave. At least, if nothing else, to try and displace Swiffer and Spooks into that middle to give himself some time to get away. You cannot really deal with those two. I mean, yes, you're confident when you're Orianna because you have that shockwave available, but you know, you're still Orianna. You're still fragile, and you're still able to get shut down pretty easily in that kind of situation. It's going to be a pause here. We haven't seen one of those yet, so I'm thinking that's pretty good so far. Swiffer having a little bit of lag problems here, and going to take his time to try and get that one sorted. In the meantime, let's just have a look over the board here, because it's 4 kills to 2 in favor of Team Immunity. Gold is about 2k in favor of Team Immunity. They had that extra dragon. They had they had the tower, extra dragon, first blood on their side as well, and now the items are starting to come out straight into the bloodthirst from Radier.
Yeah, quite interesting there coming out from the Ezreal. You typically see Ezreal's picking up a Trinity Force first if they're a little bit ahead, and you would say Radier is a little bit ahead right now, but he's decided to go for the brute damage coming out from the Bloodthirster. It's going to be alright for him, really, whichever path he does decide to take. He is double the CS pretty much of Cardred, so he's going to be a very monstrous 80k at this stage in the game against really anyone. And something that we really need to focus on is Choo-Choo's not having the best game so far. He's died twice, and really he was one of the major carries of the last game for AVANT GARDE.
By the same token, I'm okay with this because Choo-Choo's is a late game beast on both Nidalee and of course Orianna. The concern is giving Swiffer those kills in the early stages. You know, Lulu was going to be strong late either way, and now getting even stronger. And yeah, as you said, Radier is about 900 gold ahead of Cardred, and that's manifested into a completed Bloodthirst, and we can see the rush for Cardred. He needs the extra damage on that boomerang blade, on that ricochet, so much so that he hasn't bothered with boots. And we know, of course, Sivir passively gets that extra speed when she's, when she's doing that damage, and of course, with her on the hunt ability. So it's not super important, but it's quite a telling sign to see how desperate Cardred is to get to that mid-game stage. Oh, now Agony's Embrace is coming down towards Choo-Choo's. He's under his tower. Shockwave, is it available? Yes, he's tried to use it. He's got, actually, I think he was going to use it. He got polymorphed out of it. That's nasty. Immunity. Very, very strong right now. We see Carbon planning to come in off from the side here. He is revealed before he gets close enough to do any damage. And I'm running out of breath, but at this stage, AVANT GARDE now have to back away. So do Immunity, though.
Yeah, luckily for Choo-Choo's, the ultimate didn't go on cooldown for him. Even though it wasn't cast, sometimes these abilities do tend to go on cooldown, but Radier getting a little bit caught out there. The Arcane Shift going to save him there. Cardred trying to put down a bit of damage, but just getting out-traded so hard here by Radier.
3 levels. It's 3 levels that Radier has. I don't know why Cardred thought he could take them on. Sure, Carbon going to try to jump in and save them as well. He's going to drop as well. AVANT GARDE making some huge, huge mistakes right now. Look at the number next to the health bar of your enemy champion. If it is 3 more than yours, you probably shouldn't be fighting him. And Immunity were in that area in numbers completely put Cardred and Carbon in the ground.
Yeah, Cardred is being absolutely starved, and also Erect Gymnast both being really starved for experience at this stage, because you can see even Rosie and Spooks are levels ahead, and these are the junglers and the supports. Typically the champions who are the lowest level in the game going through the levels. So, you know, Cardred and Erect Gymnast really need to just sort of hunker down, get a little bit of experience under their belt, probably look to go for the late game right now, because I don't think they're going to be doing anything at all right now.
Exactly right. Radier now 2,000 gold ahead of Cardred. You cannot fight that kind of advantage now. The Sheen going to get picked up here for Radier. So I think we know where he's heading with that particular item. And why not? Getting very, very strong already at this early stage of the game. 3 kills on Swiffer, 2 on Radier. Immunity with 5 turrets under their belt. And they're not stopping now, ladies and gentlemen. We can see now they're coming out of the base. Nearly large rod being picked up for Swiffer as well. Going to add that much more extra power to that Glitterlands. Immunity shaping up very, very nicely for the mid game.
Yeah, Immunity not happy about dropping that first game here, and they're just coming out all guns blazing and really taking this game to the, they're just taking this game to AVANT GARDE and just going bullet to gate, taking down everything that they can. 15 minutes and only already 5 towers taken down, 25k gold, a 5k gold lead already here for Immunity. And, as I said, 15 minutes only gone by in this match, so things are not looking good for AVANT after that first game, which was really quite a stellar performance from them.
Yes, indeed. Cardred, like, I don't want to harp on the poor guy. I like him, but he's in trouble right now. It's just because of how, like, the weirdness we saw early on. Dragons Descent now coming in. Carmen going to get caught. Shockwave's going to pull Intrepid and Swiffer together, just like bros. But it's not really going to be enough to stop them. The flash comes out. True Shot Barrage swings on through. Not quite enough to catch Carbon, but Intrepid will finish the job there as well. Radiant throwing out those Mystic Shots as well. We're going to push forward and try and potentially take this inhibitor turret away from Avant Garde. Flash forward, and he's embraced. 2-2 gets knocked up. The barrier is not going to be remotely enough to stop the damage coming down. Black Shield for Erect Gymnast tries to get the Soul Shackles down. Spooks was stunned up under that tower for a brief time. Swiffer going low to a tower shot as well. Immunity overextended a little bit here, but they should still be safe to make quick work of this inhibitor turret, but they do have to be quick. We'll see a Pillar of Filth come out from Impaired soon to block them in, and there are multiple low health champions on Immunity side of things. However, getting a bit of freedom, they're going to back away and be happy with that tower take. It's 6 turrets to 2.
Yeah, and Avant Garde in a lot of trouble right now. There's not a lot that they can do. They don't have a mid tower anymore to hide underneath. And really, everyone on Immunity is a few levels ahead of their counterpart, or at least a level ahead of their counterpart on Avant Garde. So it should be pretty simple work for Immunity, just to sort of steamroll down the mid lane, get that mid inhibitor, and then really work on the top lane. And we haven't even hit 20 minutes just yet, so Avant Garde really need to sort of turn something around, but I don't know where they're going to find it from.
Look, you know, Immunity, Swag walking down the mid lane covered in their bling as opposed to the rags of Avant Garde right now. The gold lead is massive. For 17 minutes into the game, we are seeing almost a 6k gold lead here. In fact, it's more than a 6k gold lead. So it's a lot
yeah.
for this stage of the game. That is a heck of a lot. So Immunity, in a head-to-head fight, they can't really lose to Avant Garde.
Yeah.
Well, unless they really shank it. Don't expect to see that from them. We saw a Shockwave come down as well. The amount of damage that actually did in the end to Swiffer and Intrepid was absolutely negligible. Did pretty much nothing. And that's a concerning part because Siva isn't going to be strong till later on. Orianna isn't going to be strong till later on. Trundle is Trundle. Like, you know, he's not his plan to do all the damage. He goes for that later on. You can see he's building tanky. There's not a lot of damage at all over on Avant Garde Ascension.
Yeah, so really, it's probably time to stop bashing on Avant Garde and have a look at the items here now for Immunity. Bloodthirster coming out already for Ezreal, as we spoke about before, and now he's looking to pick up that Trinity Force. A little bit of extra damage is going to be able to help him take down these buildings faster, but Avant Garde engaging.
I saw the attempt there. We did see, of course, the Shockwave come in through the Cyclone. It's not going to be enough, though. And dropping into the backline. That's a big 3-man knockout from Swiffer. Cardred trying to get away. Exhaust coming down. That's a nasty flay up, and Radio's going to take that one away. Swiffer now chasing after Choo-Choo. Choo-Choo's has no mana. It's a 3 for none so far. Immunity just pushing straight on through. Avant cannot fight this. They're going to lose their inhibitor.
Yeah, Inhib's going to go down, and it looks like I am going to back out here. They maybe had the opportunity to do a little bit more damage to one of the Nexus towers, but probably wisely actually looking to back out. They were a little bit low on health, and they're now heading towards the dragon, and also going to pick up this blue buff on their way down. Swiffer presumably going to be the one to pick that one up onto Lulu. He has got himself a needlessly large rod, so that's going to boost his damage quite a lot over Choo-Choo's, who's really only finished off that Athene's Unholy Grail. So, you know, look at how far ahead Swiffer is compared to Choo-Choo's in this game.
I mean, we were harping on early in this game about how awesome the combination of the Wukong Orianna ults. You know, it's going to be game break. It's going to be next level. No. The real story is the Dragon's descent into giant growth there. Combination on Immunity. That's a 3-man knockup. It was ridiculous. And Trevor just jumps in, knocks everyone up, and a ridiculous amount of follow-up damage coming through in the form of Radier, Swiffer, and Spooks. So much damage. And there was really nothing. Avant don't have remotely, like numerically speaking, they don't have the damage to really counteract that as well. They need to pick a solid fight here. If you're Avant Garde Ascension, what's your first stop to try and bring yourself back into this one?
Well, really their best bet is their combination of ultimates, but I feel like even if they do get those off, they get a perfect Wukong ult off and a perfect Orianna ult off, they're still not going to have the damage really to burst through Intrepid, who's really being the main sort of front line right now for Immunity. Just getting in there and tanking up everyone and dealing heaps of damage as well. So the best bet for Immunity for Avant Garde right now rather is to be warding up their jungle like what they're doing at the moment and looking for picks. So I'd be looking to see maybe a oh hang on, here we go, Carbon in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, speaking of picks, Carbon just got pretty much yoinked out of his bush and slapped around a bit. Dropped very, very quickly. He's 12-2 in terms of kills there. Let that be an indication of how the fights have been going. Gold is almost up to 10k at this stage, getting very, very close. It's about, well, it's close, like a high 8, 9k. I'm not going to do the maths right now, I can't bother. But right here, taking away that blue buff here and just going to do a bit of cleaning crew work. It looks like Immunity gravitating towards the top side of the map here. They want that inhibitor turret. They want another inhibitor for their trouble as well. They know that mid lane is going to shove no matter what, and they're pretty happy to work on the rest of the objectives. This is textbook play, and Avant Garde went non-textbook. Didn't really work out for them.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, it didn't work out so much this game. It worked out pretty well last game, but a fight coming out here.
Big knock up towards Spooks there as well. Carbon tries to get a bit of damage down with the Cyclone, but it won't be enough. We see the Death Sentence comes in and Paired get caught up in that one. Rosie going low. Jimis on the outside trying to 1v1 against Radier, and Radier is just doing so much damage as well, even while he was exhausted. Choo-Choo's now going to have to run away from Intrepid. Impaired going low as well. Look at Radier. He's absolutely on fire. Auto attack to clean that one up. He is unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen. That was a huge fight. 3 for none. Immunity again making that pretty smexy score line for them. They're going to keep coming forward now as well. Of course, Carded going to try and use that spell shield as well, but look at Radier. He wants blood, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to get it. He's going to come forward towards Gymnast as well. One more auto attack, one more mystic shot will do it, and that is the double kill. And overall, for the whole duration of the fight, that was a triple for Radier. Immunity silencing the critics. An absolute steamroll here now as they work their way towards the Nexus. It's 22 minutes and 10 seconds into the game.
Yeah, and the reason Immunity were able to finish this off so quickly, look at this, they've got 4 sweeping lenses onto their team, so they're going to be, or they did completely starve Avant Garde of vision in their jungle, which is the reason why you saw Carbon get caught out there. They just had no vision in the top side of their jungle, and Immunity able to snowball off these little picks like that, and the lack of vision there from Avant Garde due to those trinkets really showing how powerful Immunity is there for us tonight. And unfortunately, Avant Garde not able to continue their good run, but a good, really very interesting series coming out here, best of 2. So both these teams going to walk away with 1 win, and so it's a draw really between Avant Garde and Immunity tonight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So those 2 teams will be going to 1-1. And it's going to give an opportunity for teams like Viscerate and your Soul Cell Chuffer to make their way to the top sort of echelon there, if they can pick up their games respectively. But definitely GGs to both teams. Immunity just steamrolling in that game. They just played it standard. They just played it better. I like a lane swap every now and then. I really do. Despite all the ways that Riot tried to make it a little bit harder to do that, it's still good to do sometimes. We saw in the first game, but Avant Garde never really found their feet in that game. They sort of were very transient. They were always moving, really dynamic, but they weren't achieving what they wanted to do. They weren't getting ahead. So there was no on paper or even off paper advantage was being manifested at all. There was none. So it was classy play. There was a lot of flair in the rotations, but it really wasn't enough to overcome the solid standard play that Immunity used.
Yeah, so that's going to be all from us tonight on Team Down TV. This has been Team Immunity versus Avant Garde, ending up in a 1-1 draw between these 2 teams. Both teams playing very well tonight in their respective wins, and that's just going to be it from us. And my name has been ElfishGuy11. I've been joined by Uber. You can find us on Twitter at ElfishGuy11 and at UberShouts. And don't forget to give us a follow onto our Twitch channel on Team Down TV 1. So, that's been it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.